Hey you, yeah you who clicked on this video. Thanks for giving our channel a shot. And if you will, please do us the honor of watching the video all the way through. Appreciate it. Now onto the video. All right, so in episode 4 of From, we're looking at a rock and a faraway. So let's recap this episode. So in this episode, it's not a lot of action, but we do get a lot of information. So the episode starts out, we have a young man coming out of the cellar to a street full of dead bodies. And we know that this is the town because this is the main street in the town, which we find out is Victor. And then we see Julie waking up abruptly, and Victor is standing over her creepily because apparently that's what he does. He's just creepy. Don't know why. And you know, every time I see anything like this, I can't really feel bad for her because why are you here? This is not the place for you. You are a minor, and you are in a place where people have sex openly in the open. They sleep wherever. You got the young lady, the young Asian girl who's, you know, apparently stealing people's clothes and wants her pillow back. Like, what are you doing here, child? This was a mistake. So then we have Boyd. He's cleaning out the box because of Frank's punishment, I guess you could say. So now, they got to clean out Frank's remains from the box. And then we have crazy Sarah, who's obviously under the control of those entities that come out at night, acting like everything's cool and trying to comfort the Asian lady, even though she is basically responsible for her husband's death. So that's awesome. Then, of course, we got Jim and Tabitha, and they're still trying to wrap their head around the events of the day before and understand exactly what has happened, where their family is, and, just what's going on. So Jim and Ethan go to the diner, and, as they're going to the diner, they see Boyd hauling Fred's body around to Father Khatri so that they can bury the body. And Boyd is doing his best to try and hide this body from this little boy, because even though the reality of the situation is that there's death all around them, he wants to at least try to preserve some of this young boy's innocence. Well, understandable. So then we got Sarah again acting normal, and she introduced herself like nothing has happened. And we get to a scene with Jade and Kenny go to investigate the cellar, and Jade tries to explain to Kenny what he saw in the bottom of the cellar, and then Kenny takes Jade to show him that none of the people that come to this town come from the same place, nor were they going to the same place. So that's very interesting. So then we have Ethan and Jim, and they're at the diner, and Ethan explains to Jim that, he feels like they're on a hero's quest, rather than, this just being an impossible and terrible situation. Jim gets emotional, goes to the bathroom to have a breakdown, and leaves Ethan alone at the table in a town that they've been in barely 48 hours. And so, there's nothing really surprising when Victor comes in all weird like he is, sits down with Ethan unsupervised, and talks to him about the boy in white, and that it's very important that they identify this boy in white, and that he also informs him that the trees apparently have moved. So then Jim comes out of the bathroom, gets pissed off at Victor like he didn't leave his son alone in the diner, and starts getting physical with Victor and kicks him out. All right, whatever. So then we have Julie, and now Julie is, she's obviously regretting her decision to stay at Colony House with a bunch of hippies. Surprise, surprise. And Fatima tries to comfort Julie the best she can by having her look on the bright side, I guess. And Tabitha comes to see Julie at Colony House and deliver a sweater and really just try to collect her daughter back, as a mother would do. And Julie has a freak out on her, basically explaining to her that, she always does this and that she knows that Jim and Tabitha were planning on getting a divorce, and that was the whole point of this trip. So that definitely throws a wrench in Tabitha's plans to bring Julie back to town with her. So then we get to cover the idea that Jim and Tabitha are getting a divorce, and that they lost a child, and there's a whole breakdown and an argument because apparently Tabitha needs to blame Jim for everything that happens, even if he's not necessarily responsible for something. So it's really getting bad vibes from her, not really feeling her character, but it is what it is. It's how they do wives in a lot of these newer series. So then we have Victor, and he comes to see Ethan again and says that they have to find the boy in white. And so they sneak out through the back. Victor throws down Ethan's crutch and gives him a stick because that's what you use to go on adventures, apparently. Whereas Victor has his trusty lunchbox. Boyd and Father Cautry have an argument about Frank and about all of the pressure that's going on with Boyd. And we get a little bit of information about what has happened before, and that Boyd apparently discovered the talismans and in the process apparently lost his wife. We don't know how she died, but apparently between him finding the talismans and keeping everybody safe, she passed. Father Cautry also tells Boyd that he's the only one who can bring all the people together and keep them safe, because up until 24 hours ago he had been able to do so, apparently very valiantly. So Victor is now with Ethan, and he's telling Ethan about the town and that he had been there for a long time. And based on the flashback, we know that Victor has been in the town at least since he was about 12 years old or so. And then Ethan tells him about his late brother Thomas, and that he died as a baby, and which is obviously the reason for the brokenness of the Matthews family. Now we see Jim and Tabitha. They finally stop arguing and realize that Ethan is missing. So now we need to find Ethan. We're never concerned about these children in this show, until something bad happens. It's really strange, but it's a show. You do what you can. So Victor shows Ethan that there are spots in the town. In particular, it's a hollowed out tree in this particular situation where you can send an object, or even, according to Victor, a person through, and they'll appear somewhere else. Now, the somewhere else is undetermined, and you could appear right next to the person, or you could appear apparently inside a mountain. You never know. But apparently there's a bunch of these spots throughout the town, and I'm guessing that these are interdimensional gateways, perhaps, because it seems like the town is in some sort of pocket dimension that's always moving or moves every so often, and that's why people that are coming from seemingly different parts of the United States can end up in this town. Seems to be because of the location being able to be mobile. But, that's just my speculation. We'll have to see as the show goes on. Now, other than that, we see that Jim and Tabitha are attacked, or at least confronted, by a pack of wild dogs. And then we find out that Victor apparently has something in their lunchbox. And he has a revolver in that lunchbox. But apparently Jim does not care, because Jim seems hell-bent on confronting Victor, even with the gun in his hand. Victor, is able to go away, and Ethan, Tabitha, and Jim go back home. Now we get a chance to have Jim and Boyd talk to each other. Jim confronts Boyd about Victor, and then Boyd kindly informs Jim that things are done in a way that if you're from Colony House, then Donna deals with you, and if you're from the town, then obviously Boyd deals with you. And Jim seems to not care. He just wants Victor away from his kid. So Jim and Boyd, they talk it out, but ultimately Boyd, says, hey, you guys are new. It's not like you're going anywhere. So let's have dinner so we can get to know each other better. Which, seems really cool of Boyd, rather than being standoffish and being a butthole about everything. He seems to want to get to know everybody so that they can be closer and have an understanding so that when times get hard, they can rely on each other. Makes sense. So then we have Fatima, and she is now talking some new age bullcrap to Julie as they reveal her new living arrangement, which, surprise, surprise, is in another room. I think it's in their room, which is going to probably cause its own problems as Julie is a young lady going through adolescence and puberty and all that. But, whatever. Like I said, this is just weird. This weird hippie house is, what it is. Then we get a chance to see Boyd, and he, at first it seems like a real throwaway scene, him just getting himself together, trimming his beard, and then he has a minor freak out where he's feeling the pressure, and, eventually you have to relieve the pressure, so he screams at the mirror at the top of his lungs, and then we cut to dinner, and, the Matthews family and Boyd are having dinner and just, talking about things that are mundane, and then Boyd mentions the radios that kind of just randomly turn on and play different songs, which is weird, and I'm sure that they'll explain that in greater detail in the coming episodes. But then we have a whole situation with Sarah, because now finally Sarah, is having an issue after Kenny's mom basically is like, hey, look at how beautiful the family is, talking about the Matthews family. And then Sarah has some strange vision in which words are carved into her arm telling her to kill the boy. Now we can assume that the boy is Ethan, but it could not be Ethan. Who knows? And we see Sarah having a seizure as a result of this vision. Then we cut away to Colony House, and we see that that Victor is basically preparing graves because he feels that since the events from his childhood are happening again, almost in the same order, that there's going to be another giant massacre and a lot of people are going to die in the town. So, that's from episode 4. I'll definitely join you guys for episode 5, recap that one, and, let's talk about it in the comments. Tell me what you thought about it. Tell me what you liked, what you didn't like, what you liked about this video, and we'll see you on the next one. 8-Bit Heroes out. Peace. Want to give a big 8-Bit Heroes welcome to Tietres de Vampires. Big shouts out to you. If you'd like to get a shout out on the channel, then hit that like button, maybe share it with a couple of friends, and do us the biggest honor of all, and subscribe to the channel so you can join the 8-Bit Heroes family. And while you're at it, hit that bell icon so you can be notified when our new videos come out.